But Bessemer and Jefferson County, Birmingham, back in the 20s, 1920s, when things were not like they are now. You may not believe it, but this was the music capital of the world. I'm going to say it again. This area you're in right now was the music capital of the world. And it was all because of this music called the Jefferson County Sound. The Jefferson County Sound was an a cappella presentation. No instruments. The voices were the instruments. And the way this occurred was there was an industrialization of this area in the area of mining, coal mining, okay, and steel mill. So all the people from the rural areas in the state of Alabama were migrating to Birmingham. And so you got all these people excited coming from Lowndes County, coming from Greene County, coming from all the Perry County, what we call the Black Belt. They were coming to Birmingham and Jefferson County for a better life. Okay, because basically all they could do in those areas was farm. So now these steel mills and coal mines with a lot of money turning. So they come to this area and congregate. But the challenge of that was they needed entertainment, they had spiritual lives, and they were trying to find out how to just meet. Like we were talking earlier about guys meeting on the campus, and girls too. They were all trying to be something, I'll put it that way. Better life. Well, let's back up about 20 years prior to that. At Fisk University, anybody ever heard of Fisk? Mm-hmm. Nashville, Tennessee, they had what's called the Fisk Jubilee Singers. And there were about 9 singers in this group. Okay? And the reason they were, the group was formed was to be a PR team, if you will, through music for Fisk and to raise money. History show that back in the late 1900s, they went to Europe and raised over $1 million. Can you imagine $1 million during that time? Now, anybody know what the nickname, if you will, for Nashville is? What do you call Nashville? What's the Nashville, Tennessee? Anybody? It's called Music City. Okay? It's called the Music City. Now, you would think it's called the Music City because of the country and western music, right? But no, it's called the Music City because of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. All right, so the Fisk Jubilee Singers, very popular. Everybody knows about them. And a shout out to my granddaughter who is a sophomore at, she's a junior at Fisk. And she played in the play last year. I think they did their 100-something anniversary. She played in a play about the Fisk Jubilee Singers. So, President Booker T. Washington, anybody ever heard that name? Okay, where do you know that name from? Come on, talk to me. Tuskegee. He was the president of Tuskegee. Heard about these Fisk Jubilee Singers. So he invited the coordinator or the choir leader to come to Tuskegee to teach their children. Because guess what? If this choir is making $1 million, hey, come and show me how to do this. And we're going to do the same thing. So they created the Tuskegee Singers. Well, part of the teaching at Tuskegee was music enrichment. Anybody heard of Spike Lee? Well, Spike Lee's folk were part of that move as well. So in sending these teachers out, one of the things that they were teaching and instructed the teachers to do for these black children during that time was to teach them the appreciation of the arts, with music being one of the most important pieces of that teaching. So having these Tuskegee singers, and if you can imagine then, you don't have everything you have now, so everybody knew about everything because the communication line was more exact, it was more precise. In other words, you didn't have Periscope, Facebook, and all those things where you could get information from. You just got it one way. So they heard about these Tuskegee singers outside of the university. So it filtered over into the university. So now, here we go. coming to Birmingham to get better jobs. Some of the people in Tuskegee came to Birmingham. And when they came to Birmingham, they brought that music. Now, these weren't necessarily teachers. These were just people outside. It's kind of like with Bishop Turner and the choir. The choir is not just at UAB, but Birmingham outside knows about the choir. So people are influenced by that. So they come to Birmingham and Jefferson County to be in the coal mine, steel mill, and they start forming these groups. Instead of having 9 people, they had 4 and 5. Okay? And they call them quartets. Now we know quartet is 4, but sometimes they have quintets with 5. But they may have 2 people singing so good until they can sing the same part. And Bishop knows more about this than me, but it would make one note. It would make one voice. They were so good at it until they could sing, and you couldn't look at them and tell who was singing what, because they were so smooth with it. Part of that style was articulation, it was harmony, it was attack, and what made Birmingham so powerful was that it did not, you heard of barbershop quartet, well they just kind of, I respect it, but these guys put a little something with it. You know how it is. With us, James A. Naismith made basketball, they were just doing 2-hand set shots. Just dribbling the ball, shooting. Then we got in there, what did we start doing? Bang on bang. We gotta change We're gonna change everything. We're gonna change the fashion, Hey, they were wearing these shorts up here, the boys from Michigan say, no, man, that's sagging a little bit. We're gonna put something there. We put us in tents, we're gonna put Venus in there, they're gonna put a little something in there. So the quartet came along and said, you know what? We're not just gonna stand up here and just sing like this. So they started doing, and this is uniqueness of the Jefferson County Sound. They started putting a tuba bass in it, start pumping the bass. Instead of just boom, 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 they went boom, 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 boom. Okay? And instead of having all the groups singing at the same time, they said, well, shoot, man, you got this dude in there, you got this, anybody heard what a conch is? You know what a conch is? It's a hairstyle. So they started conching their hair, straightening it. So dude, he feels like he's 6'2", he has some man. When I get out front, instead of us all singing together, somebody got to step out front. So he steps out front and starts leading and ad-libbing. You know what ad-libbing is? Mm-hmm. Ad-libbing when you start just making up stuff. Instead of sticking with the script, you just start saying stuff. Hey, I like you with your blue hat on. You always blue hat. I always blue hat. So they start exchanging leads. Then one dude is almost like when the other one's out front, he starts saying, give me a little some of that. So he taps him on the shoulder, hey man, your time up, let me come up front. So they start exchanging leads, and that became popular. Till everybody in this area, this is in the 1920s, they created this sound. And other cities across the country, when they recorded, even if they weren't from Jefferson County, guess what they started doing? They started putting on there, at that time you had 78s. I don't know if you ever seen a 78. 78 preceded the 33 and the thirds. 33 and the thirds and 45s. This is all, man, I never thought I'd be up here talking to folks who didn't know what this was. But all of that preceded what you have as downloads now, what you probably know CDs. But all of that was different forms because of technology. Well, these people started recording and they would lie and say that they were from Birmingham just to get a little extra promotional credibility. That's how popular this was. So Jefferson County Sound. Now here's the other piece. Groups like you had Shelby County Big Four, the Four Eagle Gospel Singers, the famous Blue Jays. These people, names like, I'm gonna give you some names: R.C. Foster, Son, S-O-N, Dunham, D-U-H-A-M. Gilbert, son Donald. R.C. Foster, son Donald. Gilbert Porterfield. Charles Steele. Okay. These people started in these groups and they started traveling. Now keep in mind, you must keep in mind, they didn't have the best traveling conditions. So what they would do is that they would go to these different cities to sing, and they'd probably get there by car or train. And many times they go like to New Orleans. Like for instance, Gilbert Porterfield went to New Orleans in the 1920s. He became the quartet trainer. That's what they would call quartet trainers. So he would go, he went to New Orleans and he winds up staying there. Now they'd even stay there because the group would get mad, not enough money, and break up. Or they'd go there and find this girl that they like and stay there. But for whatever reason, they were not becoming ambassadors. So he went to New Orleans. There were those who went to Los Angeles, Cleveland. You had a group called the Kings of Harmony. They were from a community here called Winona. Okay? He went to New York. Now, there was no music like this music. I'm going to stop and tell you something. Anybody ever heard of the Temptations? Yeah. Okay? All of the stand-up male groups were influenced by these groups right out of Jefferson County. All of these groups. Because all they did was they changed the subject matter. Instead of saying, oh God, we love you, they just started saying, oh baby, we love you. Same type vocals in the background. For instance, Eddie Kendricks, anybody ever heard that name? Mm-hmm. Eddie Kendricks is from a place called Inslee, which is a community here in Birmingham. Paul Williams was in the Temptations. He's from that same community. He and Eddie were very best friends. Their dad, Eddie Kendrick's dad, was a quartet singer. That's where he got his influence from. Goes from Birmingham to Detroit, and guess what? Gets with the Temptations. Eddie Ruffin was from Meridian, Mississippi. His dad was a quartet singer. He sang in a quartet, and he did the same thing in the Temptations. I could go down the list of old schoolers. We're talking soul music now. That's what they call it. Soul or R&B. Let's look at, anybody ever heard of Bobby Womack? Bobby Womack was a guitar player for a guy named Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke sang with one of the first quartet groups called the Soul Stirrers. Okay? And Bobby Womack played guitar for him. Ultimately, when Sam Cooke got killed in Los Angeles, just a little history, Bobby Womack married Sam Cooke's wife. Okay, I can go a little bit deeper and tell you that Bobby Womack had a group and they were called the Womack Brothers. They changed their names to the Valentinos, but they were a quartet group, and that's how they got with Sam Cooke, because they knew all the Soul Stirrers music. You know, it's kind of like some of you know Beyonce, right? Miss Beck, all right? But guess what? You probably know all the music, and if you were a singer, you could probably sing it just like Beyonce, blah, blah, blah. Where at that time, the quartets were influencing everybody, so anybody who was a local quartet, they had their favorite group. So the Womack Brothers had their favorite group, which was the Soul Stirrers. They knew all their songs. So if the band sometimes went crazy and you had to fire them, oh, I know these guys called Womack Brothers in Cleveland. We could pick them up on the way, tell them to meet us in Chicago, you don't miss a beat. Okay? So I was saying that to say, the interesting thing about them, all of them play guitar and they play left hand. Okay? But Bobby Womack's brother, not only did Bobby Womack marry Sam Cooke's widow, Bobby Womack's brother married Sam Cooke's daughter.
Good Lord.
Just a little sidebar there. Al Green. Anybody ever heard that name? Al Green was from Fire City, Arkansas, was in a group called the Green Brothers Quartet. So what was happening now, this is in the 60s when soul music was coming about. So all these guys now get out of these quartets And this new music is budding. Every society is known for its greatness by its unique and original contribution to the arts. The unique contribution to the arts in America, one of the greatest, is R&B and soul music, which came directly out of the Jefferson County Sound. Directly. If you Google it, you'll find, again, in the 20s, this was the mecca of music. And you see how it influenced these people. Even Della Reese. Anybody ever heard of Della Reese? Miss Della Reese, who's a minister, and I understand she's ill right now, she was a part of the Drinker Sisters. Whitney Houston's mom was a part of a quartet. Just about everybody you can remember. The group called the Drifters. Anybody ever heard of the Drifters? These are old groups. Under the Boardwalk. Well, they were put together as two pieces of quartets who came together to make the Drifters in New York. All of this history, again, starting right here. Why is that important? Well, you just need to know the history of stuff. Rod Stewart. Anybody ever heard? That's a rock guy. Anybody ever heard of Rod Stewart? Let me see. Anybody? Rod? I figured you heard of Rod Stewart. Did you like it? Okay. Well, guess what? Rod Stewart's greatest musical idol was Sam Cooke. Okay? Sam Cooke. James Brown. James Brown, when he got out of whatever the detention area he was in with the guy Bobby Bird, if you ever saw that movie, Get On Up. Well, it was a quartet. And if you, Bobby Bird had a quartet, James Brown got in the quartet, they were singing gospel, and then, as I say, they went from Oh Baby Baby, from Oh God God, oh Lord Lord Lord, to Oh Baby Baby Baby. And it transferred. You know, when the music was being played coming in, I felt y'all, even though you might not have understood the music, I mean, you know, in music you got a thing called, you know, it's a groove. You know, when you get in the pocket. I don't know, you any drummers in here? You got anybody that play drums? Well, when you get in the pocket, you know, it's that thing, you ain't trying to, it's kind of like, you know, like a band, like one of them good old HBCU bands, you know, you got to do it. So I felt y'all when you came in, you were like, hey, I can feel that. Well, that's how this music was. Now, interesting, and I'm going to try to wrap it up here. Anybody know the Beatles? Mm-hmm. Okay, anybody that doesn't know the Beatles? All right. You ever heard the Beatles when they do that little, this is one of my favorites, they do that little, woo, love me, yeah, 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 love me, yeah, yeah, woo. Well, that came from right here in Jefferson County. Anybody ever heard of Little Richard? Mm-hmm. Okay. Shut up! Well, Little Richard was one of the ones that used that little woo, and Bishop told me it's called that King Soprano.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Woo! And I was studying it, and it also traces itself back to Africa. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you ever be around a bunch of African people, when they're like, particularly in church, they'll go, woo! So, Little Richard did it. Anybody ever heard of the Isley Brothers? Mm-hmm. Ronald Isley? Mm-hmm. Okay, they have a song called Twist and Shout, which the Beatles re-recorded. Okay, now why am I saying all this? There was a group in Birmingham called the Original Gospel Harmonettes. Put that down. The Original Gospel Harmonettes. Right here in Birmingham, Alabama. Bishop Turner honored Miss Evelyn Hardy during one of the choir presentations and salutes. She's deceased now. She passed about 2 years ago. But there was a lady named Vera, V-E-R-A, Kolb, K-O-L-B. She was the one who made that particular sound popular. They were, the original gospel harmonettes were the Mary Marys of our time during that time. And they were from here in Birmingham, Alabama. So when they be singing, they start singing and they go, woo! Just to add influence, impact, and a little color to it. Well, Little Richard was over in Macon, Georgia. didn't know how to play the piano. But guess what? The main music he was listening to was quartet style music, even though it was females. And this group, the Harmonettes, were the most important group, the most popular group. So he's over in Macon listening, trying to learn how to play the piano. So only thing he has to learn, he didn't take formal lessons, was listening on the radio to the original gospel harmonettes. And he's picking out the notes. He's a dishwasher. He's picking out the notes, and instead of saying something about God, he starts saying, "Oh, tutti frutti, Rudy, oh, Rudy, woo!" So the Isley brothers, who were a quartet, they came along and they decided they were going to start doing R&B, and they said, "Twist and shout, woo!" So the invasion, what you call the British invasion of the groups, like the Beatles and like the Rolling Stones, all they did was listen to American music and copied it in a sense. Although the difference in them listening and copying it, they gave credit to these people, and they started making their own music just like they heard. So when they did Twist and Shout, which the Beatles did, they said what? Woo! But then when they started making their own music, they said, "Hey, we love that way, that woo 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 sound. Let's put it on. It's been a hard day and night. And